Okay, so welcome to the very first episode of our podcast here with Tammy Robbins.
Tammy and Fabiana, here to rock the world
Absolutely.
through podcasting.
So, Tammy, tell me a little bit about what's been going on in your life.
Well, what's been going on in my life is that I have been trying this new diet and I did not make this diet up, but I heard about it in a movie called The Devil Wears Prada, where you don't eat anything, and then when you start to feel faint, you eat a cube of cheese.
How's that working for you?
Well, I fainted once.
Oh my God.
I did. I fainted at the doctor's office.
That's really not good at all. What did your doctor say about it?
Well, I think it was really from the sight of blood. You know, it was a fasting blood test. So we do have a family history of fainting at the sight of blood and medical type stuff, which is ironic because I work for a hospital system. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I actually tried a little bit of fasting the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't intentional. I guess I was under a lot of stress and I just stopped eating, and that was my fasting.
Stress does not help you lose weight. Stress works in the opposite way, whether you're fasting or not.
I managed to lose weight, but then the minute I was feeling better and I was eating my normal portions,
yes,
which are a lot, by the way, that I gained it all back.
Gained it all back.
But yeah, I mean, some people are surprised at how much I can eat in one sitting.
You could put it away, girl. I've seen it. I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to stay out of your way at the potluck today because, I mean, the forks were flying. So, and I'm over here like trying to, just eat only half of a potato. So
I went for seconds.
Did you really?
As hard as it is to admit, I went for seconds.
Did you have any of Mel's trifle?
Yes, the one that with the
yes.
Yeah.
I was very proud
delicious.
of him that there was no beef in the trifle. Remember that from Friends?
No, I don't.
Did you ever see the episode of Friends where Rachel put beef in the trifle?
I don't remember.
She made
that
a
episode.
traditional English trifle with ladyfingers and jam and whipped cream and beef sauteed with peas and onions and another layer of ladyfingers. You never saw that one?
No, don't remember. I'm pretty sure I've seen all of the episodes. I don't know that I've seen them all as reruns to kind of remember all of the punchlines. But I can't remember that. But funny you should say that. You know that the newer generations are kind of like discovering Friends.
Really?
So like my roommate's daughter, she's 11, and she's so into Friends.
Really?
Loves Friends. And then I actually listened to a podcast where they critique, show business just in general. And they were saying that it is now a thing with Generation Z.
Good.
Because they're discovering something that they don't have, which is real friendship without
devices. I started watching that show when it came out because I was in my early 20s and I had a roommate and we had a group of friends like that. And I really wasn't watching a whole lot of TV at that point, but my parents called me up and said, "You've got to watch this show. It just reminds us of you and your girlfriends and all the friends that you have in Warrensburg, Missouri." And I started watching it, and, I through the years had a group of friends like that, and we grew up, and moved on, and people got married and had babies kind of like the same time the Friends cast, was, and, we just sort of grew up along with them. What's been bothering me lately is I watch it every night. I have it on every night. It's kind of what I go to sleep to.
Okay.
Because I know what's going to happen and I know all the lines, and it's very comforting and eases me into sleep. It's almost like meditation.
Okay, Friends meditation.
Yeah.
Hear that, listeners.
But I was watching the episode that was near the beginning of the series of when it was Monica and Ross's dad's 50th birthday. And I was like, I'm older than Ross's parents now. I'm like starting to relate more to like Jack than I am to Chandler.
And Chandler, yes. That is, it's interesting. It's, the years are going by.
It is. I'm sad. I'm growing up.
I know. I was telling people I went out on Saturday clubbing, and I'm doing my air quotes here for those who can't see that. And I'm like, I don't belong here. I just don't belong here.
I never belonged in the club.
I should never go back out and try to do this.
So was there like awkward dancing, or was there just awkwardness?
So after 10 years, when you go out, again I was married for 13 and with someone for 16. So, okay. So after 16 years, when you're going out again, when you're single, it's a whole nother world.
Yeah.
So I felt just too old. Overdressed.
Yeah. Overdressed, really.
Yes. Like even what I was wearing, which is jeans and a leather jacket and everything, I felt like I was like, so nice and polished compared to skimpy dresses and stuff like that.
Really?
Huh. And then too sober for that crowd.
Listen, I know if anybody could get me to go into a club, the first thing I would be is standing in the corner and crying because it's too loud. Mm-hmm. I don't even like to go to. I have an Irish pub on a big corner of mine in my neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And I used to love to go there on Saturday afternoons. Well, they started having bands there, and now I won't go to the pub in the afternoons because it's too loud.
Yeah. Life changes. Life changes after 30.
I feel like such a fuddy-duddy, but I'm not. I have this rich life of not eating and walking 4 miles a day and petting my dogs.
That is happiness, man. That's great.
It is.
That is peace, and that's not what everybody has.
Yeah. If you think back on when you're in your 20s and your 30s, I think what I was searching for a lot of that time was peace and joy. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of struggles I think that you have to go through just to learn about life, to get to your peace and joy.
That's true. And the minute you realize that it's not going to come from anything on the outside, mm-hmm. but from within you, it's when it mm-hmm. all clicks and you're a different person.
Yes, you're a different person, and you realize, that if you can lose your peace once you've gotten it and you figured out that comes from within mm-hmm. and that it's your responsibility. I mean, you could lose your peace again. It happens. Yeah. Circumstances of life. Sometimes it's just like seasonal affective disorder, which I think mm-hmm. I might have had living in Missouri right now, where it's 17 degrees and cloudy, or just, changes in, your hormonal life or whatever mm-hmm. can get to you and you can lose your peace. Work drama.
Yeah. And
knowing that you've gotten it on your own before gives you the ability to grab it again better and faster. And mm-hmm. I think that is such a great feeling at this point in my life to know that if I lose my peace, it's not gone forever. Mm-hmm. I can get it back.
That's great. That is wisdom.
Oh my God.
I swear it is.
Do not play this for my family or anybody that I know closely because they will be like, what?
I'm going to send this out to the world. No. Should we talk about work to justify the use of?
We should talk about work. So I'm super stoked to be in Tampa, Florida today, just for a couple of days of meetings and stuff like mm-hmm. that. And then next week I'm heading out to the College Classic in Houston. So
I'll see you there for a day. I'll be there for, a little bit over 24 hours, I think.
Whirlwind trip.
Yeah. That's. I'm going there for a shoot, and then I come back, and that's great. But that's because I'm going to Tulsa tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Super early. We do the shoot on Saturday and Sunday. I return on Sunday.
Okay.
So I need to be here Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, for sure.
Got a couple of things to do here in the office and then go to College Classic, which I'm really not even.
You're not even going to the Classic. Yeah, you're just going to the Classic.
Yes.
Yeah, Fabiana's going to be doing some videotaping in front of a green screen for one of our corporate sponsors with our 2 national ambassadors and Alec. And by the way, I let Alma know that Alec that we need Alec for that, and she's like, yeah, whatever. So they're good.
That's awesome.
So
yeah, so they'll be doing that, and then the background is going to be one of those. Beautiful resorts that our corporate partner has. So,
speaking of green screens and backgrounds, whatever happened to those pictures that we took at the East-West Shrine game of me acting like an idiot?
It was video. I have it there. I can show you. We should extract a frame.
I keep waiting for that to come back and haunt me.
It'll become a meme.
We're big on the memes here.
It'll have a certain number written on it. I can't say which number it is.
What number would that be?
I know.
Subliminal messages.
Some of you will know this. Some of you will understand it.
So I am welcoming you back to the Midwest in March and April again. So I'm super excited to be hosting you in the area.
I love it. I like St. Louis. I've been there so many times now that I feel like it's almost like a little second home. Midwest home.
We'll have to take you to a new place this year because I've taken you to the Anheuser-Busch Brewery, which everybody should go to, and which I walk past on my walk every day and see the Anheuser-Busch Clydesdales. It's amazing. We've done some really cool places downtown. We did the Brazilian restaurant downtown. We did that for your birthday one year, didn't we?
We did, yes. We've done the Peruvian restaurant too.
Peruvian, that's what the one. That's what I mean, the Peruvian one.
Near
I have to think of
BAM's office.
Yeah.
And we'll be in Edwardsville.
Yeah, Edwardsville has some cool places. Yeah. Edwardsville is a cool town.
It has a little, kind of like a little downtown, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Edwardsville, for those who don't know, is a suburb on the Illinois side of St. Louis, and it's start off kind of as a college town, really. The Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville is there, and it's just a quaint little burg. Yeah. It's
part of Illinois, by the way.
Yeah, Illinois. Good old Illinois.
Yeah, so I am looking forward to it. And actually, since we don't get a whole lot of cold days here, when I go to cities for like 2 days and I get to experience the cold, that's actually really nice for me. For a change, it's good. I don't know that I would live there.
I have to tell you, it's great for, this is the only thing that I really like about the cold weather is you get a break from humidity.
Yeah.
You know, and coming down here today has been great because the sun is shining and it's warm. And I needed that, but it's humid, and I don't like that. I like, I like kind
even
of
though this is low humidity right now.
Just hate
it's still like a wet towel.
I know,
slapping you.
Walk off the gate of the airplane, and you're like, oh.
Welcome to Tampa, people. No, it's not a bad place at this time of the year when it comes to weather.
Yeah.
And the only bad part I'm gonna say, and cover your ears. You know, snowbirds is you, snowbirds. There are way too many of you. And it takes a long time to get to work, and it's a long time to get anywhere. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. They're out there, and they're driving really slowly when you're trying to get to work.
Yeah. That sounds like my parents. My parents are kind of snowbirds, but they go to Biloxi, Mississippi, so they don't come quite as far because they have a camper that they pull behind their pickup truck. So
I love it. Yeah. I dream of getting a camper.
Yeah, I don't.
Maybe rent one.
No, it seems like a lot of work. I mean, I watch them, and my parents got the camper because my mom wanted a vacation once they got into retirement. My dad does not like to leave home.
Okay.
And I'm kind of like my dad, which is odd because I have a job where I travel, but I'm very much a homebody, and so is he. So my mom knew that she could never get my dad to travel unless they got a camper could take home with them. So that gets him excited about it, and he gets excited about all the technical aspects and the mechanical aspects of having a camper and a big pickup truck and all that kind of stuff.
And he feels at home.
Right. And then Mom gets to be at the beach.
Nice.
So it works out for both of them.
Hey, that's why they're still married.
After 51 years.
51 years.
52 now, actually. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yep.
Well, let's go back to work. Tell me about some of the projects you're working on.
So I am really excited now, and it's moving slower than I would like for it to. But we have moved in this department from being really PR focused to being marketing focused, which is such a bigger focus, and doing a lot of the advertising and the marketing that we need to do to get more patients. And I've been excited about that move into the digital world and all the different things that we do. But at my heart, I'm a PR girl, and my favorite part of it has always been media relations.
Yep.
So it's just my jam. And so I have kind of stepped up and volunteered to say, hey, I'm willing to take on the concept of developing a real strategy for getting Shriners Hospitals for Children out there in the media nationally, So right now I'm working with BAM, and there's another agency that I'd really like to work with, getting a proposal to us who could do some pitching for us and has the contacts that we need. So I'm working on developing a relationship with them and seeing if we can move forward to develop a real strategy for taking some of the great stories that we have on the local level that have been told by local media. And bumping them up to a national level, whether that's taking them, to all of the, like if it's aired on an ABC station, all the ABC stations have access to it, or if it's, owned, if it's a Tegna-owned station or a Sinclair Broadcasting-owned station, and getting it on there, and then trying to parlay that into, Sanjay Gupta on CNN and, the Today Show, and wherever else that we can get media coverage. NPR, my holy grail right now for me is NPR. I would love to get some of our research on Science Friday. Mm-hmm. So that's really what has gotten me really super excited right now. It's just moving slower than I want it to. I kind of thought January 1st would turn and I'd just start working on this.
Yeah.
And it just, I think I need to have some patience with this project and know that it's going to be something that if it takes time to build, it's going to be worth it.
Mm-hmm. So absolutely. So what part of media and media relations do you enjoy most?
I just enjoy the thrill of pitching a story and then having somebody want to tell it. Yep. Mm-hmm. And then I just love that whole process, like figuring out the right way to pitch the story and to put the elements together in order to get somebody excited about it. And then when you get that call and somebody asks you about it, and I like the process of going through it. Sometimes sitting through a shoot is hard for me because people are very detail-oriented, videographers are, and I am not so much. So that's hard for me. But then to see the story air and see people get excited about it and sharing it, that whole process for me. I know that last year I worked on the CBS Sunday morning story about Alec. And and that was just lucky that I got that project because the call came in and Mel sent it out to the 3 regionals and said, who wants to handle this? And it was a January day and there was nothing going on. I'm like, I'll do it. I'll call the guy. And lo and behold, it's, an Emmy award winning producer from CBS Sunday Morning. And he said, we were sitting around the break room and we were wondering, what's the story with that kid Alec in all the Shriners commercials? He's like, can you tell me a little bit about him? And luckily enough, I've spent enough time with Alec and his family to be able to, really tell a story and talk about what a genuine person he is and, where he's going in life and, how much Shriners Hospital has meant to him. And, really be able to tell the guy, he'd be a great interview for you. He'd be a great story. There's so many aspects of his story to tell. And he said, yeah. And then 2 weeks later, we had CBS Sunday Morning at the East-West Shrine game following him around. And then that story took pretty much an entire year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had 3 different shoots, and the producer was calling me 2 days before it aired, which was Thanksgiving, asking for additional things like photographs and stuff like that.
So if you haven't seen the story, you can go to, I think it's easy to just search on YouTube.
It is. It's super easy. If you if you search CBS Sunday Morning, Alec or Alec's Mission is the name of the story, and you can see it.
That was an awesome. I mean, it made us all feel so proud of the organization and of the person he is.
I'm super proud of Alec for that. And there's, behind the scenes, there's so much of it that people don't see. He was super nervous about his interview the day that Lee Cowan did the one-on-one with him. He's like, I really don't want to let Shriners down. And I'm like, Alec, you could never, you could never let Shriners Hospitals down. Gosh, we're so proud of you, and this is about you. This isn't about us. And, it was nice that I was able to, I enjoyed being able to be there for him, encourage him, and watch him go through the process of, getting to know the correspondent, getting to know Lee Cowan really well and the producers and stuff and watching them bond and stuff,
That's great. And I've had the opportunity to work with Alec, with his family. It's been a joy.
Yeah, he's going to Northwestern next year for journalism. Isn't that crazy?
That is awesome. I see only great things happening for him in the future. So as a sportscaster, as a journalist, you'll see him. Yeah. You heard it first here.
You heard it first here, right here at the Fabiana and Tammy Podcast Roundup.
I've worked with the family and you for so many years with Alec's family. And the other day, Drew introduced us. It's like, Alma, this is Fabiana. And we're like I've known,
dude, we're like sisters. Okay, I got to tell you a funny story about Alma. So last year, Alec was invited to go to the Iowa Shrine Bowl, and he's like, Tammy, I don't want to go there by myself. I've always told him, any event you go to, if you don't need anybody from staff there, that's fine. But if you want somebody there, I'll drop whatever I'm doing and join you. He's like, please come with me to the Iowa Shrine Bowl. Like, absolutely. So I spent the weekend with Alma and Alec at the Iowa Shrine Bowl. And we were at the Iowa Shrine Bowl parade on the Saturday morning before the game. And we're standing there with some of the players. And I was standing with Alma, and we were just kind of in the background while Alec was hanging with the guys because they're all around the same age. Yeah. And the one kid had known that was Alex's mom. And so he looked at me and goes, "Oh, are you Alex's grandma?" It hurt.
So we're not forwarding this audio to Alma, right?
No, she knows.
We're gonna
so now Alma and I joke that like she's my daughter, you know.
Gosh.
You know, and Alma's actually a couple years older than me. We're very close to the same age, but we joke all the time that you know, she's like, well, you know, my mom over here, you know.
I actually have some of those stories, and I am. So did I tell you? So a number of years ago, there was an employee here. And I had my wedding picture up on my shelf. And she comes to my office, looks at my picture and says, "Oh, is that your daughter?"
Stop it. That's awful. Was she embarrassed that she asked?
I guess so. So I looked at her and she goes, "Your sister?" I'm like, "No, that's me. That's me."
Like,
granted, I was 23 years old and I was very thin and I looked really good, but I am not old enough to have a 20-year-old.
No, God.
And certainly wasn't at that time. At that time, I was 27.
Oh my God!
She said that 27 or 28.
That hurts.
Yes,
that hurts.
Yeah, it's like the first time they call you ma'am.
Yeah, you know what though? I kind of got to chalk that up to not about what you look like, but maybe you know, who that person might have been. I think that was more their problem than your issue.
Well, I've had several of those. One was at an association meeting. I belong to this association, and I had just met someone. So I'm telling him all about Shriners because I'm all excited. Yeah. And I'm like, "Did you know that our headquarters was here?" And I'm telling him a little bit about the history. Yeah, it moved from Chicago in 1979 because I know those facts, as most of us do. And when I tell him that it moved from Chicago in 1979, he asked me if I had moved with them.
Oh,
I was
you
not
weren't even born yet.
I don't know if you just didn't do the math.
Yeah,
kind of like those people are like, "Oh yeah, the 70s were like 30 years ago or something like that."
That's kind of me. Yeah.
And I want to believe that that's the case.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no. I wasn't even born.
I wasn't even thought of.
Exactly.
Along those same lines, I had an intern 1 year, probably my first couple years at Shriners. And so I was in my mid-30s, not that big of a deal. And I had an intern who was a junior at one of the local universities. And she was sorority. She was like head of her social group in her sorority. And they were planning a social that weekend. And the theme was going to be 80s prom. And I started laughing. I'm like, oh, my God, I'm old enough now that my prom years are now a party theme. And she's like, oh, you went to prom in the 80s? What was it like? Like, it sucked. It's just like anybody else's prom.
She had poofier hair.
Yeah, I had poofy
shoulder
hair,
pads.
big hoop dresses, and and dumb music, and we planned far too long in advance and spent too much money on it for what was another dance in our high school gymnasium.
That's and that hasn't changed.
Yeah.
I was born in the 80s, but I guess what I remember most is the 90s.
Yeah. When were you born?
82.
82. That was my freshman year of high school. I was just starting high school.
Look at that. Yeah.
I'm old enough to be your mom.
I wouldn't say that.
I'd have been a super young mom.
You would have been old enough to be the mom of a picture.
Yeah, exactly.
The woman in the picture was getting married.
Maybe I am somebody's grandma.
Yeah. That was a funny episode. I was like, really? Do I look like? Anyway, I don't. Yeah. I don't really let that affect me. It's funny more than anything.
It is. It's a good story to tell.
Yeah.
It's one of those good self-deprecating stories to tell other people.
It is. It absolutely is. So,
so what are you working on now? What's got you excited?
So many things going on. So I'm really excited about our new National Patient Ambassadors, and I can't really talk too much about it. I just know that thinking about the direction we're going to take the stories and how we're going to make them, shine and make them different from anything we've done in the past is
That reminds me, I do have an idea about one of them.
Okay.
Just when we get off, when we're not recording, I'll tell you.
We can talk about that. Yeah. I'm excited about the pageant video. Our next imperial potentate seems to be excited about it too, although he won't admit it. And he told me that.
You'll never admit it, yeah.
He's like, I like it. And I said, you love it. You just won't say it.
He loves to be messed with like that.
Yes. And the idea really plays along with that sense of humor that he has and the fun and fellowship that he wants to highlight for the fraternity. So I am really excited about that story. And so just to be able to tell stories in a different way is what, really gets me excited. And that's, I have a privilege that's actually my job.
Yeah.
To be able to tell them in a visual way. So, so my new patient ambassador stories, we have a commercial shoot this weekend, which is also, it's exciting to see, our patient ambassadors are going to see.
You'll get to see Kiera from St. Louis.
Kiera from St. Louis and
Alejandro from
Houston, right?
Alejandro's actually from St. Louis as well.
Is he?
So
okay.
If you would do me a favor and just, kind of, that family does not speak very much English. So, and I know Vanessa has been taking care of them well, Vanessa with TCM, and I have no doubt about that. But if you could, kind of take them under your wing a little bit too.
No, absolutely. They're also a family from Mexico City that I've seen twice already because we've worked with this patient twice, and they're just a lovely.
Which family is this?
Millie is her name.
I don't think I know her.
Yeah, she's been in our a couple of our Spanish-speaking commercials.
Right.
Which people keep saying Hispanic, and maybe in the next episode I will start correcting people.
So, right Hispanic is when you're talking about a person and their background, right?
Yes,
and Spanish is about the language.
Spanish is about the language. So if you tell me that we are shooting a Hispanic commercial, I don't know if the commercial is in English or in Spanish.
Right.
Because you're talking about, like you said, a culture.
Yeah. A culture that speaks many different languages,
many
actually.
different languages, and that in some cases is not primarily Spanish speaking. So when I see those emails come through and they say, we're going to be filming Hispanic, or this is for the Hispanic initiative, it's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And that's something that needs to be corrected because
we need to be thinking more deeply about
exactly the groups that we serve.
Yeah.
Not as this is just Hispanic.
Yeah.
It feels to me a little bit like there has to be a little bit of education and respect.
Yeah.
So that we refer to these groups exactly as they should be.
Right, because, we're reaching out to them because we want them to give to us. We're also reaching out to them because we want them to think of us as a choice for care for their children. So in other words, we're inviting them to become part of our family. Because once you do that with Shriners Hospitals for Children, you're part of the Shriners Hospitals for Children family.
Yeah. And
it is a very special feeling. And so if you're going to be going for, it's really hard, I think, as white, Anglo-Saxon, English-speaking, no other culture, involved, it's easy for us to think of as just they speak Spanish, and so that's Hispanic, and that's not what it means. And I've learned a lot from other marketers that, there's, you have to think about, what their values are and what's important to them, and do those values align up with ours. With family is what I hear, and
it's more the cultural than the language, because if you think about it, there are about 54 or 55 million Hispanics, or identified as Hispanics in the United States. The majority of those are U.S. born.
Yeah.
The majority of those prefer English as their primary language. However, they still carry the traditions of their culture. Right. So family is one of them, just like you said. Part of it is the language, but not in its entirety. Right. Maybe they will say, a word here and a word there that reminds them of their abuela, or et cetera. So, but they don't primarily speak Spanish. So it is the culture, and that is what we need to be looking at first before we think about language. Or translating something. It is the culture first.
Yeah. And you have to think about, what that culture is like in Texas versus what it might be in Florida.
Absolutely.
Or in New Mexico or Arizona.
The background has a big
California.
influence. Absolutely. Florida, for example, is very Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of Cubans, a lot of Puerto Ricans, and Houston is Mexican.
Yeah, primarily. Mm-hmm.
So
that's going to be a different kind of way of speaking to a group of people, I would think.
Exactly. And you speak to their traditions. I'm Peruvian. So if you talk to me about tacos, and I don't quite completely identify.
Yeah.
So that's really not my thing.
Yeah.
So you're talking to me about something that wasn't part of my culture. In the same manner, we should be mindful.
Oh, those poor Peruvians without tacos. Gosh.
We have even more delicious food. I have to take you to a true, authentic Peruvian restaurant.
Not the one in St. Louis?
I love it, but it's fusion.
Oh,
it's catered to more of a palate that enjoys international cuisine, and it's delicious. But authentic, like hole in the wall, I got to take you to one of those.
Yeah, I need that.
Yeah.
Me likey hole in the walls.
Yeah, that's a whole nother experience. But, great conversation. And I think we need to educate those who work for us, those who work with us, to make sure that they are referring to all of the groups of cultures that we work with correctly.
I think, it all goes back to what we need to remember as human beings. It's we spend too much time, I think, in our own heads and in our own hearts. And I think we do our best work and we are our best human beings when we get out of our own heads and share our hearts with others, and think about where other people are coming from. It's even in work, it's so or even with your own family, it's easy to, see what somebody is saying as, what they're saying at you, but to think about who they are as a human being and where they're coming from. And if we can always remember that in the work that we do at Shriners Hospitals for Children, that we do this for others, then we'll always be guided in the right way.
Oh, that's a great thought. And to not prejudge.
Yeah.
Before you get to meet the person.
Yeah. Everybody's a person.
Yes.
Everybody's a human. The insecurities and the bad, I always think about when I'm having a bad day and how I may come across to others, or how I do come across to others when I'm having a bad day and taking it out on others. And then when somebody's cross with me, I just think that they're a mean person. Yeah. No, let's go into their heart for a minute and, see where their behavior, or, be empathetic about where their behavior might be coming from. Hurt people. So
that is true. Let's be more human.
Yeah.
People.
Yes. Humans. We're good.
We're good. I have enjoyed this podcast, and I think I'm going to put it somewhere to, where the world can hear it. And I hope we can actually record more of these.
I would love to. This is fun.
I think there's a lot that we can share that would serve in our profession.
Yeah.
But also just as people who work for an organization. I mean, there are a lot of things that are, a lot of commonalities out there.
Yeah, people who, work for a cause,
Correct.
and what it's really like to work for a mission-based organization,
It's different than a for-profit. Certainly.
I wouldn't know. I've never, ever worked for a for-profit organization. Never. Well, except for maybe the newspaper, but I don't think it ever turned a profit.
Maybe our next guest will have that background.
Yeah.
And we can ask all kinds of questions.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's look for the next guest. Well, thank you, Tammy.
Thanks, Fabiana.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you're listening. I hope you made it. If you made it this far.
Woohoo!
Congratulations.
Give yourself a high five.
Yes.
Take a swig of water. That was a workout.
All right. Till next time.